in to the Chasing Dragons radio show.
Everywhere I go, they all know my name. So can you hang? Baby, I won't fall, yeah. Can't forward a hoe, yeah. So I chose to ignore, yeah. Bitches be my enemies, since bitches be my clone, yeah. Everywhere I go, they all know my name. So can you hang? Baby, I won't fall, yeah. Niggas hit my phone, all the numbers get ignored, yeah.
Welcome to the first episode of the Chasing Dragons radio show. You're here with your host, Rakaya, also known as Black Planet. This is the inaugural episode, and I thought that title was fitting considering the recent developments in U.S. politics, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But I first want to get started by telling you guys a little bit about who I am. So, the question, who am I? That is a deep question. It's something that I ponder. I feel like who I am is constantly changing as I get older, as I evolve, as I learn more. But in short, I guess I can describe myself. I am of African American heritage. That will take an entire episode to really dig deep into what it means to be African American. I am currently studying in London. I'm a student, not only an academic, but a student of life. I am a historian. I am really passionate about history. I have been since a child, which leans a little bit into me being a conspiracy theorist, and we'll discuss a bit of my theories in some future episodes. But more importantly, I am a human being, right? I love to express myself creatively. I'm a visual artist, and what it means to be a human being, I take that very literally. So I try to be present in the now. I try to capture what's going on in my life, and that's a part of what this radio show is really giving me the opportunity to do. In the past, I have tried to do a podcast multiple times. I didn't do it successfully, clearly, which is why we're here now. But gratefully, those experiences taught me what it really takes to be able to do something like this consistently and also producing quality content. So I'm moving a bit away from the podcast format, and I wanted to do a radio show. It was something I had in my brain for some time, and here's me executing it. I think a radio show is different because I will also be sharing some music, some tunes that really resonate with me, resonate with the current times. And it's just also a reflection of my love and my passion for music. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and I hope you guys appreciate the more radio show, indie, FM style that I'm going for here. But then also I hope you guys enjoy the subject matters that we're going to be discussing, which is centered around art, culture, and politics, because that is what I'm most well versed in. I did mention earlier that I am a student. Currently, I'm studying to get an MA in computational arts, which it could be described as all sorts of things, but for me, I'm really focused on the intersections of art and technology. Previously, before this, I studied marketing, which I was interpreting as really understanding the psychology behind the human brain and why we buy the things that we do. So really understanding this intersection between human behavior and consumerism. But then I moved on from that and started studying media studies, which sent me down a whole pathway of just thoughts and evolution. So I'll be happy to share a little bit more about my experience currently in my program and my previous programs for those of you who are interested in research, interested in, growing your knowledge in a more academic setting. But I think outside of that, I have my own personal experiences as it relates to these subject matters. I think that I'm coming from a unique perspective. I want to be clear that this is my own perspective, and I encourage you to start your own platform if you have a perspective that you want to share. That was a bit harsh, but I think it's really coming from this idea that I want this to be a safe and a free space for me to express myself. I am going to be talking about serious matters, but also I think that it's important to talk about these subject matters, and I want to encourage you all to continue to do so in your communities, or also encourage you to start your own platform if you have a different perspective. I think that's important, and I do mean that sincerely. Moving away from that, I want to get into this idea of chasing dragons. So I found the concept of chasing dragons while watching the film Chasing Amy, I believe. And I instantly resonated with the concept. But in doing some research, I learned that people utilize this analogy to describe the high that comes from ingesting heroin, which I want to be clear that is not what we are doing here. And the title is not related to that. But in theory, it is. Because to me, chasing dragons is about chasing the highs of life while still managing the lows. And I think as human beings, we are all encountering the constant loop of pursuit and the constant loop of chasing, going after things, balancing being in the present while also looking to the future, having hopes, dreams, and aspirations for the future. And I'm all about that. I'm constantly thinking about my future while still trying to think about how can I appreciate the now. And I have many of dragons that I'm chasing that I'll be discussing a little bit more in this podcast. For example, getting started with why I'm so fascinated with art. I think the interesting thing about these dragons is that there are positives and negatives, like there is with everything in life when it comes to a dragon. So my love, my affinity, my appreciation for art is an interesting one because I'm a visual artist myself. So I'm constantly seeking affirmation and validation from artists, the art world. But I also have a very strong opinion on the art world, especially being a Black person and feeling as if the concept of art is very commodified. It's also very exclusive. It's very whitewashed, to be honest, and I think it's a product of imperialism. So I have an interesting perspective and relationship with the subject matter while studying it, being an artist, but also recognizing the root and the history of art in the industry and what it has done to marginalized groups of people. In addition to that, I am a fanatic when it comes to understanding human culture. I think that fanatic is a bit of a stretch. No, maybe it's not, right? Because fanatic, fan, yeah, I'm a fan of culture. I'm a fangirl of understanding different cultures, but really I'm a fangirl of understanding my culture and how it came to be, which leads a little bit more into this idea of me being a historian and me really appreciating history and lineage and ancient practices. But I think it's even more fascinating how ancient practices and history currently impacts the way that we interact with the world today and the way that we view culture today. So I'm going to be talking a lot about culture. And once again, this contradiction of appreciating culture, but suffering under the thumb of culture too, because I think that culture could be a bit limiting to your identity, the ways that you express yourself. And I would definitely say, coming from an African-American background, I do sometimes feel limited about the worldly perceptions of African-American culture. But my work as a visual artist, as a researcher, is really centered around decolonizing my own brain, decolonizing the brains of others, while also uplifting African American culture, redefining what it means to be a part of the African diaspora. So that's a dragon that I'm hoping to slay. And the last part of this, which of course you guys could already probably guess, is politics. And to be honest, politics give me the ick. When I was younger, I was considering being a lawyer. That phased out. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, though, I was at this Ethiopian restaurant with my boyfriend, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to law school. So that is something that I'm still flirting with. I don't think I'll end up at law school because there are some things that I don't necessarily agree with when it comes to the American system, the U.S. Constitution. So I feel like that I'll be going against myself by taking an oath to pledge to the U.S. Constitution when I am actually working to change it, right? Like I am looking to be a revolutionary in my own way. So needless to say, this idea of politics, I grew up loving shows like Scandal. I thought Shonda Rhimes was really doing her thing at a period of time. And I see myself as Kerry Washington, I see myself as being able to really shake things up when it comes to the systems that we are oppressed by, especially when it comes to the U.S. government. But unfortunately, I have to do it in my own way. I have to do it in a more creative way. Needless to say, that's a dragon that I'm trying to slay because I understand politics. I have a passion for the system and the structure of politics because I think it's something that comes from ancient times. It's not new. Nothing's new under the sun. But then at the same time, I know how many of us are suffering under this world stage, this theater that politics have become. And I'm really looking forward to being able to talk about that a little bit later on in this episode. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of the dragons that I am looking to slay, and hopefully starting this podcast, being able to create conversations, build community around these subject matters will give me the opportunity to slay these dragons. And in the spirit of slaying dragons, I want to get started with a childhood favorite of mine. When I say gun to my head, bar for bar, I love this song. Let's get started with Kanye West's All Falls Down.
Southside, we gon' set this party off right. Westside, we gon' set this party off right. Man, I promise. She's so self-conscious. She has no idea what she doing in college. That major that she majored in don't make no money, but she won't drop out. Her parents will look at her funny. Now, tell me that ain't insecure. The concept of school seems so secure. Sophomore 3 years, ain't picked a career. She like, it, I'll just stay down her and do it. Cause that's enough money to buy her a few pairs of new ears. Cause her baby daddy don't really care. She's so precious with the peer pressure. Couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis. She had hair so long that it looked like weave. Then she cut it all off, now she look like Eve. And she be dealing with some issues that you can't believe. Single black female addicted to retail and well, and when it falls down, who you gonna call now? Come on, and when it all falls down, man, I promise I'm so self-conscious. That's why you always see me with at least one of my watches. Rollies and Porsches that drove me crazy. I can't even pronounce nothing past that for safety. Then I spent $400 on this, just to be like, you ain't up on this. And I can't even go to the grocery store without some ones that's clean and a shirt with a team. Scene, we live in the American dream. The people highest up got the lowest self-esteem. The prettiest people do the ugliest things. For the road to riches and diamond rings. Shine because they hate us, floss cause they the greatest. We tryna buy back our 40 acres. And for that paper, look how low we a stoop. Even if you in a Benz, you still in a coupe. Come on, and when it falls down, who you gon' call now? Come on, and when it all falls down, I say the police, that's how I treat them. We buy our way out of jail, but we can't buy freedom. We'll buy a lot of clothes, but we don't really need them. Things we buy to cover up what's inside, cause they made us hate ourselves and love they wealth. That's why shorty's hollering where the ball is at. Drug dealer buy Jordan, crack kid buy crack, and the white man get paid off for all of that. But I ain't even gon' act totally other than that. I went to Jacob with 25,000 before I had a house, and I do it again. Cause I wanna be on 106 and Park, wishing the bands. I wanna act all horrific like it's all terrific. I got a couple past due bills, I won't get specific. I got a problem with spending before I get it. We all self-conscious, I'm just the first to admit it. Yeah, come on, and when it falls down, who you gon' call now? Come on, and when it all falls down, Southside, we gon' set this party off right. Westside, we gon' set this party off right. Shot-town, we gon' show them how we get down. Now Selena, you just like the safe belt, you saved my life. Come on.
just can't keep working like this. This grave shift is like a slave ship.
When I say I love that song, I love that song. I could hear it in the grocery store. I could hear it at the club. I could hear it at the library. Best believe, word for word, I'm going to recite that song. And it makes me think about how as you age, as you matriculate through life, you really start to change and grow. And I said that to say, as much as I appreciate Ye, I have a deeper affinity for Kanye West. And I am a huge supporter of who he currently is and how he's currently choosing to express himself. But during that time period, growing up, listening to Kanye West, just for you guys to really understand, I'm familiar with Kanye West's entire discography. And growing up, I would call myself a Kanye West fan, but now I'm more removed from this idea of being fans of celebrities. But if you want to say that, yes, fan of Kanye West. Needless to say, I think that during the time period where earlier on in his career where he was really discussing the intersections between participating and suffering under the thumb of capitalism, we don't have any other artist, I believe, that was able to do it in the same way that he did it. I think it was so artistic. It was very inspiring, and it was really internally vulnerable. I think he was being very vulnerable with us and sharing an honest perspective of what it looks like to be a black man in America, what it looks like to want validation from a white world, but also recognizing that this validation is toxic in itself. And I think the only close comparison that we have, which I will look at him as the male counterpart of, is Lauryn Hill. And even she at some point just decided that she can no longer participate within the music industry, which I completely understand. So yeah, I really love that song, All Falls Down. If you haven't heard it, I'm glad that I was able to share it with you. Going back to the earlier concept of chasing dragons and my dragons, I think that it's really important to understand yourself, and it's really important to understand what you are looking to get out of life, and to be honest about it. I spent a lot of my youth fixated on the concept of authenticity. But unfortunately, I didn't know myself well enough to know who I authentically wanted to be. And I thought, oh, why didn't I really know myself? And I noticed that a lot of folks from my generation, Gen Zers, and also my younger siblings who are coming up, they are really struggling with the concept of self-identity. And for me, I was able to pinpoint that it was my connection and my addiction to social media that stopped me from fully actualizing myself in a way that I wanted to, because I was so bombarded with other people's lives and other people's ways of expressing their identities. And I want to say that if you are currently struggling to figure out who you are, if you're currently under the thumb of these social media algorithms and who they are forcing you to be or forcing you to aspire to be, I recommend taking a social media break. I have done multiple breaks from social media in the past, but recently I rejoined Instagram after being off of it for over a year. And that was really important to me, especially after learning what I learned in my MA Media Studies program. And it really gave me the opportunity to understand the research and, I would say, the practices that these companies undergo when it comes to studying you, studying who you are, who you want to be, your insecurities, and utilizing those things against you to keep them hooked, to keep you hooked on their social media platforms. And I was saddened by that. And I knew that I needed to disconnect from that, because I did experience a lot of teenage depression. I experienced early adulthood depression, not really knowing who I wanted to be, not really feeling confident in myself, or constantly comparing myself to others. And all of this comparison, I mean, in real life, to be honest, when I was walking down the street, I felt perfectly comfortable with who I was. But as soon as I came on these platforms and I was looking at, women on my feed, people living certain lifestyles, artists doing this, folks doing that, it took me away from the confidence that I had in myself and what I was capable of. And I find it necessary though, because if you're not completely there yet, if you're like, hey, I can't take no break. I love Instagram. I love TikTok. I've never been on TikTok, but I know that is a really addictive platform. If you're just like, hey, I'm stuck and I am also maybe battling a bit of depression, I'm also battling a bit of anxiety, a bit of insecurity, I have to recommend an artist to you, Kid Cudi. And not new Kid Cudi, old Kid Cudi. And to kick that off, I am going to share one of my teenage favorites with you, Kid Cudi, Pursuit of Happiness.
Crush a bit, little bit, roll it up, take a hit, feeling lit, feeling right, 2 a.m. summer night, I don't care, hand on the wheel, driving drunk, I'm doing my thing, rolling the mid beside and out, living my life, getting out dreams, people told me slow my roll, I'm screaming out, fuck that, I'ma do just what I want, looking ahead, no turning back, if I fall, if I die, know I lived it to the fullest. If I fall, if I die, know I lived and missed some bullets. I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. Hey, I'll be fine once I get it. I'll be good. I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. I'll be fine once I get it. I'll be good. Tell me what you know about dreaming, dreaming. You don't really know about nothing, nothing. Tell me what you know about the night terrors every night. 5 a.m. cold sweats waking up to the sky. Tell me what you know about dreams, dreams. Tell me what you know about night terrors, nothing. You don't really care about the trials of tomorrow. Rather lay awake in the bed full of sorrow. I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. Hey, I'll be fine once I get it. I'll be good. I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. Hey, I'll be fine once I get it. I'll be good. I'm on the pursuit of happiness. I know everything that's shining always gold. I'll be fine once I get it. I'll be good.
Hashtag Kid Cudi saves lives. Truly. I always refer back to Kid Cudi's music anytime I'm in a dark place, and especially in my teenager years. A lot of his tracks really helped me through my dark times, because for me, listening to music is an opportunity for me to be connected to something, to someone who I feel as if understands me, may be able to resonate a bit about, you know, what I'm going through. And Kid Cudi was always one of those artists that I could refer to that I could tell really understood what it felt like to be in a deep, dark, lonely, depressed place. And I don't want to make light of that. And I also want to use this time to say that if you are in that place, if life is a bit tough for you right now, if you are struggling with your confidence, struggling with, you know, your self actualization, struggling with self-worth, I want you to know that you are completely worthy. Everything that you want, that you desire, is inside you. Do not allow outside opinions. Do not allow outside perspectives, internal negativity, negative thoughts to defeat you. And even saying that over this public platform or this digital space feels a bit uncomfortable for me because I'm really an in-person type of person. But I want you guys to know that I mean that sincerely, and I am coming from a genuine place, and it will be a missed opportunity for me to not address that here and now, especially as a person who knows what it feels like to be suffering. And sometimes you just want to know that someone out there understands, that someone sees you and also resonates with what you're going through. So I've been there. Sometimes I go back there, and I want you to know that you will get through it. And with that being said, I think it's time for a pick-me-upper. I really want to share a song with you guys that when I was young, in the backseat of my dad's car, tears coming down my face, looking out the mirror after just getting yelled at about something that I did. This song will really just pick me up and let me know that one day I will be able to do whatever I want. One day I will be able to do whatever my heart desires. And I bring to you Lupe Fiasco's Superstar.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. Yeah, a fresh, cool young Lou, trying to cash his microphone check 212. Wanna believe my own hype, but it's too untrue. The world brought me to my knees, what have you brung you? Did you improve on the design, did you do something new? Where your name in on the guest list, who brung you? You, the more famous person, you come through. And the sexy lady next to you, you come too. And then the hitman, standing outside of heaven, waiting for God to come and get me. I'm too uncouth, unschooled to the rules, and too gumshoe. Too much of a newcomer and too uncool, like Shadow in the veil. I battle with it well, though I need a holiday like Lady who sung Blue. Go back, whatever you did, you undo. Heavy as heaven, the devil on me 2 tons too. If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphones, and they wanna know. And you better wear your shades. The spotlights here can burn holes through the stage. Down through the basement, past the Indian graves where the dinosaurs laid. And out through China, nearly misses airliners. Magnified ×5, this is pointed at the rhyme. Ricochets off the moon and sets the forest ablaze. Now that's important to say, cause even with all that, most of us don't want it to fade. We want it to braid, meaning we want it to grow, meaning we want it to stay. Like the governor called and he told him to wait. Unstrap him from the chair and put him back in his cage. The audience ain't phased, and they ain't gon' clap and they ain't gon' praise. They want everything back that they paid, cause they've been waiting since 10 to see the lights get dim. If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The crowd is here and the lights are on, and they wanna show. Chauffeur, come and take me away, cause I've been standing in this line for like 5 whole days. Me and security ain't getting along, and when I got to the front, they told me all of the tickets were gone. So just take me home where the mood is mellow, when the roses are thrown, M&M's are yellow, when the light bulbs around my...
Did you all catch that? If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. We have to give it up for the hip-hop artists who found it necessary to discuss uplifting and empowering messages in their music. It is a lost art. It is a dying art to create music that is truly inspirational and beneficial to your people and to your community. And I just applaud all of the hip hop artists, especially who made that their mission. Nevertheless, I want to get into what's happening currently in U.S. politics. I'm referencing specifically Donald Trump's inauguration. I want to first say that I am not one of those people who, you know, live in this bubble of, oh, he's not my president. Like, if that's you, stop. Like, I don't even know what else to say. Like, I don't understand those conversations. I want everyone to know that if you are a U.S. citizen, then whoever the president of the U.S. is, your president. And I know people are usually saying that to maybe allude to the fact that they don't support him. But just because you don't support him doesn't mean that what he says or his plans aren't going to be carried out. So for me, I think it's important, no matter whether you support him or not, to be very abreast and in the know of what his plans are, and also who is around him, and what their plans are. So I watched the Candace Owens podcast. I like Candace Owens. I think she has a strong platform. Why I like Candace Owens is because I think she's very honest. I don't agree with everything that she says. Sometimes I think that she's correct. Other times I'm like, it's giving white husband. But nevertheless, I do value her opinion on certain subject matters. So I watched her coverage of the inauguration. I'm not talking about the outside spectacle with St. Louis's very own, in quotation marks, Nelly or Snoop Dogg or Rick Ross or any of those clowns that decided to show up and be paid to be on stage and to support Donald J. Trump. I'm more so talking about the more enclosed environment that involved public officials, and there were some other key players that were in attendance, which I'll get to in a moment. For starters, his inauguration speech. Actually, let's go back a little bit before that. Let's talk about just the overall ambiance of the space. I think politics and government has become very theatrical and performative to me around the world. When I see world leaders come into a space, I think the music, I think what they have on, I think the salutations that they're giving, all of it just feels like I'm watching a play, especially U.S. politics. So watching the Supreme Court justices come down the aisle, watching the previous presidents come down the aisle, watching all of these, you know, important, in quotation marks, I love air quotations because some things is just BS. Watching all of those folks come down the aisle, watching them join in this one room to celebrate the induction of Donald J. Trump as the president, I think that, yeah, it just felt like a play to me. And the music was very irritating because it was so slow, and I don't even know what you call that type of music. I think it's like classical. Yeah, I think it's like classical music. Anyways, the way that folks came in symbolized their order of importance, which is very interesting to me. You've seen them align kind of off to the side after you come down the aisle, then they joined, you know, the audience. And it was interesting to see how they were positioned and who was standing next to who. And talking a little bit about who was in attendance, I seen that Mark Zuckerberg was in attendance. Of course, Elon Musk was there. We also seen Jeff Bezos was there. He was there with the baddie. I mean, she was doing the thing. And it's funny to me because I know that he had went through a divorce and his wife basically took half of everything that he owned. He gave it up happily, and now it seems as if that he's able to, you know, maybe explore and get access to women that he wasn't able to get access to before he had money, which is a very fascinating phenomenon to me. This idea of maybe cornballs or not socially attractive people being able to get more when they have access to power or wealth. I'm going to put that over there. Moving right along, we also seen former presidents, President Bush. We seen Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was accompanied by Hillary Clinton. We've seen President Barack Obama, which is so ironic considering the meme that was just surfacing online of him and Trump, having a little bit of conversation. Of course, President Biden was there along with his family. Presidential candidate Kamala was there. And, because they're currently in office, so of course they're going to be there. One thing I would say is that Michelle Obama wasn't there. And Candace had mentioned the fact that Michelle Obama was also not at President Jimmy Carter's funeral. So it started to raise eyebrows. And there are rumors circulating that they may be getting a divorce. While I advocate for women making a decision to walk away when they're unhappy, it's a bit disheartening because the Obamas are put on a certain pedestal. I don't put them there, but I know a lot of Black families, Black Americans do, and especially being the first Black family officially. And I think it just saddened me because I think it was a symbol of what the current state of the Black family is and what it looks like for many of us. I am a product of divorced parents. I'm pretty sure many of us are in the Black community, or parents that were never together at all. And to see, President Bush be able to come down with his wife, to see Bill and Hillary, and we know, what Bill was up to, but still they are coming down and they are in unity with one another. And whether it's performative or not, or whether it's just for the cameras, it symbolizes a certain level of structure that white American families have that Black American families don't have. So that's why it was a bit sad for me to know that they might possibly be getting a divorce, and also to not see her there, because it's always refreshing for me to see Michelle. But hey, it is what it is. I do want to say that I really appreciated Melania Trump's attire. I think the hat was everything. I think the gloves was everything. And I'm really excited to see the hat and the glove trend come back, to be honest. And I think her past is interesting as well, because I know that there's a lot of commentary about what she used to do, that she was involved in sex work, etc. But now she's the first lady. So, hey, hats off to her, I guess. Now, the most important part to me was his speech. Okay? During this speech, he delivered it in the same schmuck-like way that he usually talks, but he wasn't as excited or as animated as he typically is. Usually when he's looking to cause chaos, he has a really great way of fluctuating his tone to get people excited. No, his inauguration speech was very precise, sharp, monotone, and focused the entire way through, which I found interesting, and I thought it was telling of how he's planning to brand himself for this term in comparison to his first term. Also, subject matters that was mentioned a lot. He talked about immigration, of course. Many Donald Trump supporters love his policies when it comes to immigration, and I think they're going to love what his plans are as well. He is very interested in making sure that all of the illegal folks, or I want to be very careful with how I refer to immigrants, because as a product of folks who were brought over on ships, and also a believer that all of the people right now in the U.S., even the founding fathers, are considered immigrants because they didn't own the land. They just came and take it, or just came and settled there. I think that there's an interesting relationship between the U.S. and immigrants that come from certain regions in particular. I think they have very different policies when it comes to European immigrants and immigrants from South America, Central America. Needless to say, Donald Trump is very fixated on removing all illegal persons, especially those who have recently came in under the Biden administration, from inner cities and states across America, and he's planning to use federal and state force to do so, which is key because, as you know, most Republicans are very keen on state power and state rights, and they're advocates for each state being able to basically, enact law and order however they please. But it sounds as if Donald Trump is deciding that he will utilize states' power over their citizens to ensure that all illegal persons are deported back to where they came from. And I think I have my opinion on this, right? It fluctuates because relevant to what I said earlier, I understand the history of immigration in the U.S., but then also I was in New York and I watched firsthand what it felt like and what it looked like to not have regulation when it comes to who is able to enter the country and what benefits they have access to. In New York City, it became very unruly in multiple areas and also unsafe, if I'm being honest, because there wasn't much verification or fact checking behind the persons that were being allowed into this country under the Biden administration. That is just, it is what it is. It's my personal take, but I'm also not in support of harsh or supremacist views when it comes to allowing immigrants into the country to make a life for themselves. So that's my take on it, but I also understand Donald J. Trump's take to be very right when it comes to his political perspectives, and I think his supporters are going to be very excited and content with the methods and the approach that he's using when it comes to his immigration policy. Moving on from that, I think he also mentioned his thoughts on the Panama Canal. He mentioned his thoughts on the Gulf of Mexico, and it's really explaining his rationale behind how he intends to interact with the rest of the world, especially in the Americas. But then he also talked a little bit about, powers across the ocean. So naming the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America would be very interesting. Looking to acquire Canada, I don't know if that will happen. Getting back the Panama Canal definitely is something that I think could happen. He described it as feeling as if that the Panamanians did not the Panamanian government did not uphold their end of the bargain to the treaty that was signed when the U.S. gave the Panama Canal to Panama. And his thoughts are that he would like to take it back, right? And I think that what this shows us is that he is coming from a very American or North American nationalistic perspective when it comes to his policies. He's tough on immigration, and he's also going to be tough on foreign relations, not only in, the Western Hemisphere, but he also touched on things taking place further out, right? Specifically around making sure that countries are paying their tariffs. So there have been a lot of talks around that we are owed a lot of money from different countries that we have close relationships with. I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I don't want to be incorrect, but that is something that he mentioned, collecting tariffs and setting up a agency that is directly going to deal with that to help the U.S. get out of debt. He also discussed, not explicitly, but I understood him to be referencing the debt that we have currently with the Federal Reserve. If you are unfamiliar with exactly what the Federal Reserve is, I would love to do an episode and break that down, but I wanted to bring up another point that he mentioned, which is activating the U.S. oil reserves, which is a bit challenging for me because understanding the history of who's usually in charge of harvesting these resources, it is those who come from marginalized backgrounds. It is those who live in poverty who are really looking for an opportunity to make money. And working in a gold mine, working in an oil reserve is not a small feat. And even though he might feel as if that the U.S. will be better off by supplying their own oil versus constantly having to be in war with Middle Eastern countries to take their oil, you can look at that as a positive, but I also clearly see the negatives, because who will be responsible for working these jobs? And it seems as if that, is this what you meant when you said creating more black jobs or rebuilding the U.S. economy? Working in the oil reserve is not a small feat. It is a very dangerous job. And the U.S. doesn't have a history of being able to maintain an oil reserve. So let's just see where that goes. I mean, not only that, though, he clearly doesn't care about climate change. He clearly doesn't care about global warming. This is something that he made a big spectacle of in his first term, but in his second term, he is looking to get rid of policies that have to do with climate justice, and he's also looking to exploit U.S. resources in the best way that he can. So, yeah, I think that's scary, right? When a major world power decides that they are not going to support climate change efforts. I think that anyone who has been outside, no matter where you are in the world, well, maybe in some parts, but definitely in Europe and the UK and North America, they have been really struggling when it comes to seasons and maintaining seasons. It's hot when it should be cold. It's cold when it should be hot. And that is a clear indication of climate change and global warming. And the U.S. not being willing to do anything about it is not going to positively impact the lives of its citizens, nor those folks around the world or the nations who are really trying their best to step up and do something about climate change. So it is what it is. That's really all I can say. Even though I do have hope about some of his policies and the fact that they can have positive outcomes, I am also not naive to the fact that Donald Trump is a supporter, or at least these folks are under the illusion that they have his support of racist, fascist organizations who are very interested in restoring the white American dominated culture that we once had. And as a Black American, that is very uncomfortable for me. He's also very interested in further marginalizing queer folk, which is very uncomfortable for me. He made it clear that he believes that the U.S. only has 2 genders, which seems as if on the back end that is going to make it harder for queer folk to get access to resources when it comes to their health, resources when it comes to their mental health, resources when it comes to being accepted and acknowledged in the workplace. And that even goes into his thoughts around DEI of not really wanting to include race and gender in everything. What does that even mean in a place like the United States that has been built on the oppression of darker races and women? I don't really understand that. So, yeah, it's a bit unsettling, but once again, it's important for us to stay informed. It's important for us to watch characters like Elon Musk and see what they are looking to do. I recently seen a picture of Elon Musk with his gesturing with his hand up in the air in a way that is in reference to what some folks consider to be a Nazi symbol, which, I mean, I'm not surprised. If he is a Nazi, I'm not surprised. Many of our billionaires are eugenists. Like, it is the reality that if you have a lot of money, you've probably done a lot of bad to get it. And that goes for those who are Black or white. Cough, cough, Jay-Z, right? Like, I think we're understanding that in modern day, the folks who are put on these public stages, the world stage, are not necessarily good people. And it is our responsibility, one, to educate ourselves, educate each other, but then also do something about it. And that could be you starting your own platform. That could be you having conversations within your community. That could be you going out and truly trying to find ways to bring about change through activism. There are so many ways that you can empower yourself. This is not to make you feel hopeless. I think that Donald Trump has pushed a lot of folks to feel very negative about the world and the direction that it's headed. And there's a possibility that it could head to a very dark place. But there's also the possibility that if we all decide to band together and do something about it, that we can move to a very light-filled place. And it's all about what you decide to set your attention and intention on. So getting started with this radio show, hoping to really start getting some conversations going. And I'm in a place where I recognize that I can no longer just sit on my thoughts, my ideas. I have to share them, because you never know if someone else is thinking the same thing, or if someone has something to offer to push your thoughts further. And I think this is a great time, though, for us to reminisce on a time period in the U.S. that it doesn't seem as if we'll be getting again. And I remember hearing this song in 2008 on my way to school, feeling empowered, feeling glad to be in black skin. Let's hear Young Jeezy's My President is Black.
By the way, nigga, some real shit right here. This be the realest shit you ever quote. My president is black, my Lambo's blue, and I be goddamn if my rims ain't too. My mama ain't at home, daddy's still in jail. Try to make a play. Anybody seen the scale? My president is black, my Lambo's blue, and I be goddamn if my rims ain't too. My money's like green and my Jordans like gray, and they love Steve White. Now how much you try to pay? Today was a good day, hope I had me a great night. I don't know what you're fishing for, catch your great white. Me, I see great white, heavy as killer whale. I cannot believe this. Who knew it came in bail? Who knew it came with jail? Who knew it came with prison? Just cause you got opinions that make you a politician. Bush robbed all us, would that make him a criminal? And then he cheated in Florida, would that make him a Seminole? I say and I quote, we need a miracle. And I say a miracle cause the shit is hysterical. About my nephews and nieces, I will email Jesus, tell him forward to Moses and CC Island. Mr. Soul Survivor, does that make me a convict? Be all you can be, now don't that sound like some dumb shit? When you die recruit all that's black is my nigga Boo. It's really a death storm, that's word to my nigga Clue. Catch me in Las Vegas, AR Arizona. Rep for them real niggas, I'm winning in California, winning in Tennessee, hands down Atlanta, landslide Alabama, on my way to Savannah. Black, my Lambo's blue, and I be goddamn if my rims ain't too. My mama ain't at home, dad's still in jail. Try to make a play. Anybody seen the scale? My president is black, my Lambo's blue, and I be goddamn if my rims ain't too. My money's like green and my Jordans like gray, and they love Steve White. Now how much you try to pay?
Really a classic record. If you know, you know. It's one of those tracks that you just had to be there in the moment to hear. I just know where I was coming at that song meant a lot, and it did a lot. Shout out to Young Jeezy for that. But at the beginning he says it's the realest song he's never wrote. So I'm curious to know, like, did he not write that? I can't remember if he said that at the beginning of his other tracks on that project. Anyways, a couple days ago I had the privilege to visit the Tate Modern. I'm making it a thing to be visiting more galleries, more exhibitions, because it really inspires me as a visual artist to see what other people are doing, and also to see what the current space of the art world is like. And ironically, I seen one of my tutors there from my school, and I dodged her, and it reminded me how avoidant and shy and introverted I could be, even though I am also pretty extroverted. And it probably wasn't that serious, but I'm bringing this up because I seen a lot of cool works that I definitely want to dig a little bit deeper into in longer form through my Substack newsletter, which I hope you guys will be able to access and subscribe to. It's a really great opportunity for you to learn more about some of the things that I'm discussing here on this podcast, but in a different medium, such as writing, because I'm passionate about writing. So subscribe to my newsletter, Chasing Dragons Radio, on Substack, and I'll make sure to put the link in the description below. Other than that, I'm really grateful to be at the end of my inaugural address, and I'm glad that you all tuned in to listen to me, to hear me, to affirm me, and I am really excited about where the future of this radio show is headed. I'm hoping that each episode it improves. I'm hoping the quality improves. I'm hoping I get more and more comfortable being behind a microphone. It is a bit awkward for me. I'm like stumbling over my words. You see, like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so yeah, it's gonna be an uphill battle, but I'm interested to see how this grows over time, and really, really, really grateful to be present in this now. So Chasing Dragons out, and you guys will hear from me the Tuesday after this one. Thank you so much.
Everywhere I go.